So this is the general strength preparation exercise. These are mini band walks. There's a bunch of different types. Everything we do in one direction we do in the other, so we go forward. So just normal forward walks, and then you walk backwards. Then you walk with a wider stance. The goal here is about 10 meters, 10 yards, depending on where you're doing. These are a little shorter just for the demonstration purposes. These are lateral band walks. The whole purpose of all of these is to work on the hip stabilizing muscles to help us protect our knees and our shins. So you can see here he's driving from his hips. He's using his hips to push. Same thing here. Always keeping tension on the band with the Carioca walks. You can buy these on Amazon. I'll put the link or anywhere online, and you can slowly progress the resistance. One thing I would say about this is he could do a better job driving with the plant foot out instead of reaching with the front foot. Here he has to drive the other foot back, and he's using his hips, but the goal is to strengthen the hips. These are twist walks. If you don't want to buy a medicine ball, you can literally use anything, a backpack full of books, or you can go to the store and buy like a 2 or 3 gallon jug of water for like $5 at most, and it'll work really well. And if you let a tiny bit of water out, it'll slosh around and make it a little harder. These are really important because if you know anything about how the abs work and how the core muscles work while running, a lot of people do like crunches and stuff to get their core strong. But that's not how the core works when you're running. You're not crunching. You're staying stable. So this is working all the deep stabilizer muscles in the core by adding disturbance to it while you walk. If you do this every day, you'll get really strong over a pretty short period of time. This guy has improved a lot with this over 4 weeks. These are a bunch of different, the balance series, you want to hold each one for about 10 to 20 seconds. There's the forwards, there's the lateral. You want to try to get a squat in it. Get low as you can while keeping the balance. This is the rotational one. You got to open up your hips while keeping the other leg forward. That's pretty challenging stuff. And if it gets too easy, there's ways to make it a little bit more challenging. So there are a couple things. One is, and he's holding this, you can see he's looking at the ground. So now you want to start, you can toss a ball with a partner, toss a ball against the wall. So you have to move your eyes. It makes it a little bit more challenging. Then you can see I get him to close his eyes. It's a little harder. And then the hardest part is if you close your eyes and look up, you take away your inner ear stabilizing, and it makes it even more challenging. So that's something to work on as a progression. This is a coordination series, basic skips while hugging yourself, learning how to control your body in space, getting a little calf and ankle complex work in. Skipping for height while getting the windmill arms, same concept, building a little basic power into your work every day. Definitely do this on the grass, not on the sidewalk. So then, and as you saw, everything we do forward, we do backwards. Side shuffle, you can do this tall, you can do this a little bit squatted like he's doing. Either way is cool. You can bring your arms all the way up as a jumping jack style, or different. These are Carioca step overs. You want to get that back foot over the front knee and then snap it down while twisting your hips. You don't want to reach with your foot. You want to guide your foot with your hips. The next one, if you play soccer, is probably familiar, but it's like forward and backward drop steps. So when you're going forward, you're like a skip shuffle facing 45 degrees, and you're gonna cross the middle. He's got pretty stiff hips here, but you're trying to get the knee in and through your armpit, up into your armpit and across. And then you can see he's a little easier when he comes back, but out and through the armpit, from the middle through the armpit out, without bending over, keeping that upper body posture up. The key to all this, and you'll see it, is like postural stability. That's a hop and stick, so you want to jump and catch it, jump and catch it, jump and catch it, jump and catch it. This really protects the knees for multiple sports. If you were a soccer player or any other type of athlete that has knee injuries a lot, I would recommend that in those seasons too. So here the key is to keep your ribs connected to your hips through your core muscles while looking forward and not changing your posture at all while you do this. You bring the knee in, you get a little stretch, and then you march it down. These are a dynamic frog march, that's a typo, and you drive the foot into the ground. These are dynamic Frankensteins, snapping the hip down, keeping the toes up. Everything here is similar, keeping the toes up. And then same thing back. You can see that his posture is staying pretty stable. That's the goal. We don't want a lot of wobbling forward and backwards. If you can't reach your hands, that's fine. Lunge walk. On the lunge walks, always push to where you're going off of the bent front leg. So here he's going to push back off of that leg because he's getting power from his hips. This is rotational walk, so it's front, sideways, backwards, and then you push off that leg and pivot. Always pushing off of the bent leg, and you're always trying to, the foot that's in the direction that you're headed towards is the one that stays on the ground, the other one moves. So this is the last component. That's a spider crawl. He is driving off that bent knee again all the way long through the hip, and he is stepping outside of his hand. He's not the most flexible in the hips, so you can see he has to take a couple steps, but that's fine. Or a couple steps with his hands. Let me run that back real quick. The key technical areas when we're running of our technical preparation are right here. It's postural stability, so you want your ribs connected to your pelvis, your chest slightly ahead of your hips, all in a straight line. But you'll see that his chest is slightly in front of his hips. And then you want to land on the ball of your feet, in the midfoot, not your toes or your heel. Your body will, these are preparing people for, these technical drills prepare people for high speed running. And then from there, we can always slow down. But if we have bad mechanics at high speed, that tends to go all the way down through our mechanics at low speeds. So you're going to see, we run through this. These are hip hikes. What he's trying to do is get long in the side that's on the ground, and he is trying to be crunched up on the other side. That hip literally raises. So I'll play this in slow motion, and you can see when he's at the top that his hips are tilted, and this side is long. If I go from his hip to his shoulder, that's long, and then the other side is kind of crunched and a lot shorter, and that's what we're going for. That's how the hips work when you run. This is just to get the body used to that sensation, and you should feel something right here on the side of your hip if you are doing this correctly, like right there, right? Alright, so that's the hip hikes. You can see him finish this off. You can see that pelvis tilting, and then one side getting long and the other side getting crunched up. So when he's doing the A march, he's focusing on the same thing, except now he's got running arms and he's really trying to drive and land on that ball of that feet. These are single booms. I can run that back. This is the A march, right? You see really long through that hip and focusing on driving the pelvis apart. These are single booms. So you start in a position like this. They're called booms because you're gonna dynamically switch. So here you go. That hopping in between is really important because, like I said, you want to keep you can see he's slightly, like, he's got a little angle here. His chest is slightly in front of his hips, so his center of mass is moving forward, and so those hops in between are really key. Like if I do that drawing again, you can see he's at slight angle, and then he's here in the thigh, and that's kind of what we want when we run. Not crazy exaggerated, but this is what allows you to land on the correct part of your foot. So if you see here, right, he's pushing to switch, and he's got the little hops in between. He sped it up at the end. You can add the lateral to it to really strengthen the side muscles. These are triples, so I'll slow it down for you right quick. So the key here is that you see that all three of his knee, like his movements, his booms, the knee comes the same height, because what's happening is he pushes with his hips and pushes the leg down, and he has a bouncy foot, and so that foot then bounces off the ground and comes back up. So if we watch it, he's going to push, boom, right? That's where he gets, it doesn't bounce off the ground, but like the other leg comes up high. The hip flexor, you can see him coming back. He's going to rotate. But basically when he pushes it down, if he goes all the way long through the hip, the other hip flexor on the other side will snap up. And so this is what it will look like in fast speed. Push, 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 right? And it's snapping up because he's using his hip flexors elastically. And that's all we got for now. So good luck. And if you have any questions, send me an email. I can send you a video.